Coming up on this edition of the Desert Vision, Army and Navy team up for a boat security exercise, and leadership has a large role in keeping the best and brightest in the Army. Welcome to this edition of the Desert Vision. I'm Army Sergeant Heath Graham. The Sergeant Major of the Army, Raymond F. Chandler III, traveled to Camp Arif John, Kuwait to hold a town hall with all the enlisted soldiers on post. He talked about changes to the Army and what it means for our future. He also spoke about creating a more professional soldier and filtering out those that don't live the Army values.
The most dangerous person in our Army today is a person who is highly competent but has low character. They're looking at every single one of us that wear the uniform. And so the actions of a person with low character or lacks commitment and impacts every single one of us.
The Sergeant Major of the Army also believes that 99% of the Army is doing exactly what needs to be done, and soldiers should continue to do just that. Joint training helps our military handle any obstacle that is thrown at them. Army Sergeant Catherine Dowd shows us how the Army and Navy get the job done.
The U.S. Army and Navy recently trained together in order to enhance their understanding of each other's operations. U.S. sailors boarded an Army watercraft during a mission that is standard for them, but new for the soldiers.
Today we did a visit board search and seizure training event. It's one of the unique skill sets of the Navy that we have. It can take you out of your daily routine and put you into an environment where you're trained to board merchant vessels, search, look for contraband or even humanitarian aid like giving in supplies, help with their main spaces or facilities. It's a very good training event for us.
This event provided participants a chance to familiarize themselves with different tactics and techniques.
Training with other services is really important for us. We get a chance to communicate with them, see how they operate, and it's also a chance for them to see how we operate. And it's a learning process for both of us. And that way, in a real-world environment, if we have to link up together, we can understand what each other's intents are and how they operate.
Joint service missions can come up at any time, so training together beforehand helps prepare service members to work together.
It's real nice to know that I can be in the Navy and I can rely on my fellow service members from the other branches too, so it's real good.
Reporting from Kuwait Naval Base, Kuwait, I'm Army Sergeant Catherine Dowd.
Having places where soldiers can receive physical and mental help is very important. Specialist Anthony Kozluchar tells us about Camp Buring's new Strength and Wellness Center.
The Camp Buring Strength and Wellness Center is now officially open.
The best thing about this space is that it was conceived by, designed by, built by, and will be staffed by soldiers for soldiers.
The center is a soldier's place where troops can go for comprehensive fitness.
Thank you for welcoming us.
The opening celebration included awards to those who were instrumental in the creation of the center. A place that really has everything to keep soldiers fit to fight.
So the intent of the facility was to house all aspects of resiliency in one area for the brigade. So that's why we have the chaplain, behavioral health, master resiliency trainer, as well as an area for soldiers to relax and take a load off and engage in some relaxing activities. A one-stop shop, if you will, for all soldiers to come in and get their needs taken care of.
This is Specialist Anthony Kozluchar for the 1st Armored Brigade Combat Team, 4th Infantry Division, Camp Buring, Kuwait.
Welcome back. We don't see too many Army cooks while deployed anymore, but that doesn't mean they're not around. Army Sergeant Jake Fadley shows us where some are now.
An Army watercraft's main function is to get beans and bullets downrange to the troops so they can sustain the fight. But even mariners need to eat.
There's about 31 people on the boat, and we cook breakfast, lunch, dinner, and mid-rats. So it's a 24-hour operation.
Shooting from port to port keeps each vessel at sea for extended periods of time. And with such a small crew, the importance of meals and morale is intertwined.
It's a lot, I call it heat rounds when I take heat from, everybody on board. I take heat rounds from everybody, but what I do is I try to please everybody as much as I can. We even have different birthdays, for each birthday. We'll cook them a special cake or special pies, whatever they want to make, just to make them, happy.
For the 371st Sustainment Brigade, I'm Army Staff Sergeant Jake Fadley, aboard Logistics Support Vessel 6.
Soldiers re-enlist for multiple reasons. Army Sergeant Andre Clark introduces us to soldiers that believe positive leadership is one.
All soldiers are entitled to outstanding leadership. With that being said, where would soldiers be without it?
I've had leaderships, platoon sergeants, all the way up to first sergeants who have mentored me to make me what I'm at today. I know that if my leadership within my chain of command back then didn't care for me, I don't think I'd still be in the Army today.
With words like downsizing, troop drawdowns, and keeping the best and brightest soldiers, everyone placed in a leadership position should strive to be the best mentors they can be. According to Lieutenant Colonel Thomas Varell, ultimately, soldiers need to work together.
So, in my experience in the Army, what I have found most of the time when there's complaints that leadership is lacking is that there is a lack of communication. Communication, I feel, is the key to leadership being effective and leadership being perceived as good.
Some leadership styles promote an open-door policy with hopes of improving unit morale and completing their mission.
I had just a very casual meeting with the battalion commander a few weeks ago, and that I could see the genuine concern about how things are going back home, because she may not have had, being here, she didn't have the same kind of contact or the same kind of interaction she did with people who were affected by some of the decisions that she made. And I was very happy to tell her, what a positive effect some of the things that, she did over the course of this last year, had at the company level.
But what if a good soldier has honestly tried it all and feels as though they're just done with the Army? How do leaders feel about losing good soldiers to bad leadership?
I'll feel bad. I'll feel embarrassed for my profession as a senior leader. I think soldiers are very impressionable, and the first impression is everything. And if a leader does not, show a soldier that he is there for them, to care for them, and show them what right looks like, I think it has a detrimental effect to the soldier. And unfortunately, some soldiers get out the Army because of that, and they don't get a fighting chance right off the bat. And I think it's embarrassing for our profession to show our youth, especially the guys coming up supposed to replace us, and we're not teaching them what right looks like.
With years of experience comes the chance of mentorship, the chance to train, teach, and mold the future of the Army.
It makes me proud to know that I could not only influence, but have a very good person follow not only in my footsteps, but the footsteps of soldiers above me and that have led me into the situation that I am, and continue their career.
Reporting for U.S. Arson from Camp Arif John, Kuwait, I'm Army Sergeant Andre Clark.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Welcome back. On Camp Arif John Kuwait, troops have plenty of activities to occupy their free time. Army Sergeant Andre Clark tells us about a group of 5 soldiers who spend their time helping others.
In the morning, soldiers form up, stretch out, and train their bodies to remain fit for duty. But for the past few months, after duty hours, hundreds of soldiers on Camp Arif John Kuwait decided they want more.
Once we actually got the building here set up for strictly CrossFit and came together as an affiliate, it exploded. I mean, in a matter of a couple weeks, we were getting easily over 100 people showing up.
Sergeant Dunmeyer is one of the 5 CrossFit Arif John coaches that sacrifice their personal time for the health and fitness of others.
I know there's individuals waiting for me here because not a day goes by that people aren't here 15 minutes prior from their class time waiting for a coach to come here and lead them on the class.
The best of the best. That's become a frequent term in the Army. That's the soldier the Army would like to keep. So it's no surprise these selfless coaches are motivating students to get off and stay off the Army weight control program.
And that's why we started the Nutrition Challenge, was to help those who are struggling with their diet figure out what good nutrition is in order to slim down, improve their BMI and ultimately improve their fitness and do well in the APFT.
No matter how many programs are offered, it's up to the soldiers to decide to change their lives.
CrossFit isn't for everybody. It'll work for everybody, and that's been proven. But that button that gets pushed by that intensity button when we start that clock or we start that workout, sometimes people get scared away. Sometimes people will. It'll be a gut check for them. They'll shake their head and they'll say they're never going to come back. And then when they get back to their rack and they realize, that challenge was something that was provided to them and for them by the coach and by CrossFit and by the community. You see when they come back and that they're ready to face that challenge.
I know what some people might think. He doesn't know my life. Working out comes easy to people like him. Well, that's where you're wrong.
I went from having a walking profile for 5 years to being overweight and getting into CrossFit, losing 50 pounds, and I've recently given back my walking profile and have gone from doing the alternate event to scoring 290 on my PT test.
This little CrossFit group that started with 4 people now has hundreds of soldiers supporting the program on a daily basis.
I love it. For me, it validates everything we do here as coaches, because all of this is volunteer. If it weren't for the MWR and for the other soldiers that put their time and effort into coming here to coach, and then the soldiers that put their time and effort into coming here to learn, we wouldn't have all of this here. But it's just an amazing interaction, the CrossFit family you get to build, especially while deployed.
Reporting for U.S. Arson from Camp Arif John Kuwait, I'm Army Sergeant Andre Clark.
For these stories and more, you can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/US Army Central. Thanks for watching.